Welcome back, my two-piece fan followers. So, today's episode, we're going to talk about sorority hurt to heal. And I'm going to give a disclaimer that the opinions and views expressed on Two Piece Podcast by me, K100, has no reflection on Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the organization that I'm a part of, not my chapter here in Charlotte, or any affiliation. I'm just talking from self, okay? So put that out there so I won't have to get no cease and desist, or take this down, etc., whatever. I'm giving you that disclaimer. These are my thoughts, my views, and no one else's, and my experiences. So today I want to talk about some sorority hurt to heal. And it's been something that I struggled with for a long time, and I finally got over it. And I was able to deal with my triggers because I got tired. I got real tired of being angry. I got tired of it consuming me. And I got tired of tiptoeing around certain people that I did not want to be around, but had to be in the space that I was in. So I did not like to go to places feeling uncomfortable where people who triggered me in a past time when I enjoyed going to those certain places. So I was able to take care of some of that hurt and get some reprieve and get some healing and get some release. And my major one was with my, I wouldn't even call them line sisters, but females who I went through the process with. And it happened in 2021, where they finally approached me to ask me what the issue was, why was I so standoffish, why I didn't want to deal with certain things or deal with them or attend certain events when they were there. And they gave me a safe space and place to talk about it because they wanted to hear it, because they cared. And that showed that they had grown up a little bit for me to feel, I wouldn't say safe, but able to open up for them to understand where I was. And it's going to take some time for me to be all buddy, chum. But the initial door opening to go through that door, to put it finally out there and lift that off my chest, was very rewarding. And I feel good about that. So that's why I'm sharing today. And that share came over a video call with about 8 to 10 people on it. And a couple other people joined later on. But the call went very well, I think. I was given the courtesy of speaking my hurt, my issues, my differences. And I gave very blunt examples, and I gave dates, because those things carried with me to form the person who I am today and how I interacted with my current affiliated chapter of being standoffish, being very guarded, being very defensive, not receptive to criticisms and things like that, because I had to fight. All my life I had to fight. And that's just how I felt being a part of the organization. I felt I had to fight, because I was going to get thrown so many rocks and stones and beat down. And it was never my wanting to have an easy ride. I know it was going to be a ride of, you had to work, you had to earn, but it was going to never be given. And I was okay with that because I was ready to work and earn it. But some people, again, working off of one brain, one sound, just went through that way. So I spoke to the young ladies who I went through the process with, and I told them these situations, and they stood back and they understood because they heard the hurt in my voice and in my emotions. And when I stated to them, it's going to take a while, but I will be cordial if you're cordial. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And I left it at that. And it's been going pretty good. But my biggest trigger was a young lady who is currently in my affiliated chapter. That was the biggest trigger ever. Every time I see her, I would see red, like the Tasmanian devil, and I would just want to rip shit up because she was there. And I had to come to a place in myself to say, listen, you cannot be upset all the time when you see her. You can't get your blood pressure up every time you see her because, again, she goes home and she has no idea, but it's sitting all on you. So you need to go and talk to her and put it out there. So at this particular event, we had a chapter retreat, and the presenter was talking about hurt to heal and dealing with your triggers. And that resonated with me because I had been battling for about a year about pulling this young lady aside and talking to her. And in an affiliation of an organization, we call them Sorors, which are sisters. And I never saw her as a sister. And I felt in that time and place I needed to not see her as a sister, but see her as a person, but also let her know her wrongs, because that affected me and shaped me and the way that I am when I interact with her, but also how I interact altogether with the organization that I'm in, either being just a member, a silent member, or even a chairperson, and always being on defense. And she was a huge part of why I was in defense. So anyway, after the chapter retreat and everybody kind of dispersed and everything, I walked straight up to her and I said, hey, do you have a couple minutes to talk? Because I need to talk to you. And she said, sure. And she came over and we went and we had a talk, and I told her, let me tell you something. You hurt me back in 1996. And the words that you uttered to me, I repeated those words back to her. I'm not going to repeat it now, but I repeated exactly what she said to me, and her face turned beet red. And she said, oh my God, because she remembered that. And she started crying. And I said, why are you crying? Because you the one who hurt me, ho. What is you talking about? And she said, I never thought that you would remember that. And I said, well, certain things can be said through any point in time in your life, and it sticks with you and you hold on to it. And sometimes when you're doing something, it reflects back and you hold on to that statement. So that's why I'm coming to you, because you're a trigger for me. And I don't want to ever come into a situation or an event where I want to snap your neck. Because at every point in time I saw you, I wanted to snap your neck. Trust me. And she started bawling out and she said, you know what? Thank you for telling me that. I said, no, but I want to tell you exactly why I'm telling you this. Because I've grown now and I don't want you to be my trigger anymore. I want to come into a space where I am happy and I don't want to snap your neck. Now, granted, I'm not going to sit next to you at the next time I see you and fa la 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 and put a little razzle to the dazzle and we like BFFs. No, you do you, I'm going to do me, but I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel and what you did and why I'm not going to let it consume me anymore. And again, she broke down and she said, thank you for telling me that. And she said, she went on to say some other things, and she's saying, she actually said, I actually didn't know what I was doing. And as they say, hurt people hurt people. So I was just doing what I was told. I was also doing how I felt. But I also was doing it out of spite. And when you're in your young years, you do a whole lot of things that are out of spite. And you turn around and you say, you know what, I shouldn't have done that in my 20s. I'm better than that now, and then you think that people, oh, they forgot about it. No, some people don't forget about it. Most people don't forget about it because that kind of plays a part in how they move with certain people and certain things and certain events and certain actions. So I brought it to her attention, and when I brought it to her attention, she said to me, I want to tell you that I actually admired you. Because when you came in, you had all of your shit together. You handled everything with dignity and class, no matter how bad things got on certain nights, no matter how things were thrown at you and made you pivot very quickly. You did it very classically. And on top of that, you did it with grace. I would have lost my mind if all those things were thrown at me at that certain time and make it happen. You actually took it with stride, you pivoted, and you still made it happen. I actually admired you. And to hear her say that took me aback, because regardless of her throwing shit at me, I still never pushed myself out of character, because I knew I was working for an end goal, which was to be a member of this organization, but also to know that I had to do the work. And for her to tell me that, I felt good about it, but then I did not let that oversee the shadow that I was telling her, you fucked me up. You really shook me, and I'm going to tell you that. And again, she said, thank you for telling me that. And she apologized. She said, I am so sorry. I am so, so sorry that it took 20 plus years and for you to finally say that to me. And I don't ever want to be a trigger for you. I am so sorry. I'm a different person now. I've gone through a lot of changes in my life as well, but I am so sorry, and I want you to forgive me. If you don't forgive me, I understand that, but I want to let you know I apologize. And I told her I forgive her in that space of what she did, but I'll never forget. Because that helped me to get where I needed to get. But forgiveness is in the making. I forgive you for what you did. But again, it still held something for me for so long. So this journey of hurt to heal has really, really shown me a lot in my year 4 of living, of my decade of living. And I know going into year 5 in a couple of years is going to be a total new whirlwind, because a lot of people say in their 50s, they really don't give a shit, because they just don't give a shit. They are half a century. They don't give a damn. And I can't wait to get there. I feel like I'm getting there now still in my 40s, enjoying my 40s, but knowing that I'm able to approach my triggers and let that out and let that energy out makes me feel really good. And again, with this platform of this podcast, still peeling back layers and letting you know who I am and what I go through and what I've struggled with, helps me to continue to develop and be a better person in front of the cameras and off the cameras. So if you're in an organization, work organization, D9 organization, links or motorcycle club, bike club, whatever club or whatever affiliations you have, and you have a trigger there, deal with that trigger and don't let it overly consume you. It may take you a while to deal with it, but when you finally approach that situation and talk about it, it is so fulfilling to know that weights have been lifted off of your shoulders and you've dealt with something, and you can kind of close that door and not look back and keep going forward. So if I haven't done anything for you today in this podcast, I would say reach out to that trigger, deal with that trigger, lay out what triggers you, and let them know you're done with it. Point blank, period. And let them understand you're coming from a place of peace, but this is the way that you continue your peace because you don't want any more triggers. And they are a trigger. And once you put that in there, that's it. Now, you can forgive, you can forget, you can turn the other cheek, or you can hit that other cheek when you want to on the other side when it turns. Either way you want to deal with it, deal with the trigger and call it a day. Because when they go to sleep peacefully. And you should too. Okay? So if I hadn't said anything else today, deal with that trigger and don't tiptoe around it. So, my two-piece fan followers, I'm going to end it with a cheers, glasses up. Enjoy your day. Peace.